The battlefield was quiet. Too quiet. A cold wind moved across the wide plain, carrying with it the smell of smoke and burning metal. The ground was dry and cracked, with black marks from old explosions. Above, the alien ships hung in the sky like giant shadows, blocking the sun. Their sharp metal shapes looked like the teeth of some great predator. The alien army stood in rows, their armor shining dark green under the pale light. Their weapons were long, heavy, and made strange clicking sounds when they moved. They were taller than any human, and their eyes glowed faint yellow. They had come to Earth with one goal: to crush the last human resistance in front of them. A small group of human soldiers waited. They were outnumbered at least 20 to 1. Their armor was scratched and dented, their uniforms dirty from weeks of fighting, and yet they did not look afraid. The alien commander stepped forward. His skin was rough like stone, and his voice was deep and cold. "Is this all?" he asked, his words dripping with arrogance. The mighty humans, reduced to a handful of survivors. Several alien soldiers laughed. One of them raised his weapon and pointed it at the humans as if to scare them. Another shouted something in their strange, harsh language, making the rest roar with laughter. They called humans soft flesh and weak bones. They told stories of how easy it was to crush human skulls in one hand, but the humans did not answer. Their leader, a man with a short beard and tired eyes, stood perfectly still. His face showed no anger, no fear. He simply stared at the alien commander as if looking straight through him. The alien soldiers whispered among themselves. Some wondered why the humans didn't beg for mercy. Others thought this was some kind of strange human pride. But most simply believed the humans were too afraid to speak. One alien, bigger than the rest, stepped forward and grinned, showing rows of sharp teeth. "You think you can win?" he mocked, his voice full of cruel humor. "Look around you. We have ships, tanks, and soldiers as far as the eye can see. You have nothing." The human leader's eyes did not move. He didn't blink. He didn't even breathe fast. It was as if he was waiting for something behind him. The human soldiers stood in complete silence. Their weapons hung at their sides, their fingers loose not ready to fire. They weren't aiming. They weren't preparing to charge. To the aliens, it looked like surrender. To the humans, it was something else entirely. The alien commander stepped closer until he was only a few meters away from the human leader. "Tell me, human," he said, leaning forward. "Why do you not fight? Why do you not run? Have you finally accepted your defeat?" The human leader's lips moved slightly, but his voice was quiet, so quiet the aliens could barely hear him. "We're just waiting." The alien commander frowned. Waiting for what? The human's eyes flicked to the distant hills, just for a moment. Then his gaze returned to the alien commander. "You'll see." The aliens laughed again, this time louder, mocking the mysterious human confidence. They shouted to each other that the humans were bluffing, that they were trying to buy time. Some even joked that maybe more humans would come riding on horses, or that they were waiting for rain to wash away the smell of fear. But deep inside, a few aliens felt a strange chill. They didn't know why. The humans were hopelessly outnumbered. They had no heavy weapons, no tanks, no air support, and yet none of them looked defeated. A sudden gust of wind moved across the field. It carried a faint, strange sound, so faint that only the human soldiers seemed to notice. Their leader's eyes narrowed. The sound came again, a low, distant rumble, almost like thunder. The alien commander tilted his head, listening, but his ears could not pick it up. "What is that?" he asked. The human leader did not answer. The aliens grew restless. Some adjusted their weapons, thinking the humans might be hiding artillery somewhere beyond the hills. Others dismissed the noise as the shifting of Earth's cracked ground. But the humans knew. They had heard this sound before. It was not thunder. It was not artillery. It was something far more dangerous. The alien commander stepped back, unsure why his chest felt tight. He reminded himself that these were only humans, weak, slow, and desperate. Still, something about their silence was wrong. The human leader's radio crackled softly. He lifted it to his mouth and spoke just one word: release. The word was so soft that even the humans standing beside him barely heard it, but they knew what it meant. They had been waiting for this moment. The alien soldiers noticed the change. The humans didn't move much, but their shoulders straightened. Their eyes sharpened. They no longer looked like prey. The distant rumble grew louder. The ground trembled just a little at first, then more. The alien soldiers finally heard it and looked at each other, confused. "What is that?" one asked. "An earthquake." Another guessed. The alien commander squinted at the hills. For the first time that day, he felt something new: unease. The rumble turned into pounding. The pounding became a roar. The roar came closer and still. The human leader stood calm, almost smiling. Whatever was coming, it was not human. The aliens were about to learn that the Earth had more than one kind of defender. Asterisk. The alien commander's eyes stayed fixed on the hills. The sound was louder, now a deep, rhythmic pounding, like hundreds of heavy drums being beaten under the earth. The ground shook lightly with every beat. Dust began to drift down from the alien tanks and walkers, shaken loose by the tremors. The commander turned to one of his lieutenants. "Scan the hills," he ordered. The alien's visor glowed as he activated his helmet sensors. A long pause followed. "Nothing visible, Commander," the lieutenant replied. "No movement. Number. Vehicles. No life signs." The alien commander's mouth curled into a slow, mocking smile. "So this is your trick, human." A noise in the distance to scare us. The human leader said nothing. He simply stood there, hands loose at his sides, eyes locked forward. His soldiers were just as still calm, patient, as if they had all rehearsed this moment 1,000 times before. The pounding grew closer. It was steady, not rushed. Whatever was making it was moving with purpose, not fear. The aliens shifted uneasily. Some raised their weapons toward the hills. Others glanced at the commander for orders. One alien soldier, younger than the rest, took a step back. "I don't like this," he muttered to the one beside him. "This isn't right. They should be afraid, but they're not." The older alien laughed quietly. "They're only pretending. They know they're dead." But even as he said it, his eyes kept darting toward the hills. The commander raised his arm, signaling his troops to hold their fire. "If they want to bring something," he said, "we will crush it too." The pounding sound deepened, as if the earth itself was carrying it toward them. A few aliens crouched and touched the ground with their hands. The vibration was strong, now too strong to be a small group of humans or even a tank. It was something heavier, something faster, something alive. Still, nothing appeared on the horizon. It was almost worse that way. The aliens could hear it, feel it, but they could not see it. The unknown has a way of biting at the mind, whispering doubts where there was once arrogance. The young alien from before swallowed hard. "Commander, permission to silence," the commander snapped. "We will see what these humans are hiding. Then we will tear it apart in front of them." The human leader glanced over his shoulder at one of his soldiers, a tall man. With a scar over his eye, the soldier gave a tiny nod. No words were exchanged. They didn't need to be. They had all been waiting for this moment. The alien commander noticed the exchange. "You are wasting your final moments on secret looks," he said mockingly. "Tell me, human, what will you say when I send your bones back to your people?" The human leader finally spoke, his voice calm but carrying an edge. "I won't say anything. The ones coming will do all the talking." Before the alien commander could respond, the pounding grew so loud that it felt like hammers inside their chests. The vibration made the alien ships in the sky hum against their own metal. Frames done came another sound, a sharp, short howl. It was unlike anything the aliens had heard before. It was not the cry of pain, nor the scream of fear. It was the sound of something that knew it was the hunter. The alien troops shifted uneasily. "What was that?" one of them whispered. The lieutenant shook his head. "No known match in our sound database." More howls followed, low, then high, overlapping each other like a deadly chorus. The air seemed to tremble with them. The younger alien gripped his weapon tighter. "Those are not humans." The alien commander's lips pressed into a thin line. "Then what are they?" No one answered, not even the humans. They didn't have to. The dust on the horizon began to rise, not from wind, but from movement. It swirled upward in thick, heavy clouds, hiding whatever was inside. Through the haze, shapes began to appear. They were low to the ground, but moving at an impossible speed. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds. One alien stepped forward, trying to get a better look. The instant he did, the human leader's eyes tracked the movement, almost like a predator, marking prey. It was enough to make the alien stop mid-step. The dust cloud grew larger, and with it came the sound of claws against rock, the snapping of jaws, and the deep, steady breathing of large beasts. The alien commander's mind raced. Earth's databanks had no record of creatures that could run this fast and in such numbers. This wasn't a herd. Herds flee danger. This was a pack. Packs chase it. The pounding was so strong now that the alien soldiers could feel it in their teeth. The younger ones began to lose their composure, shifting back in the formation. A few looked at the commander for orders. He gave none. For the first time since landing on Earth, he was unsure. The human soldiers still did not raise their weapons. Their eyes were locked on the dust cloud, their bodies ready but not tense. They knew the moment was seconds away. The alien lieutenant took a step closer to his commander. "Permission to fire on the hills before they arrive?" he asked. The commander hesitated too long. The human leader's radio crackled again. He spoke into it, voice sharp and commanding this time. "Bring them in." The howls rose to a deafening pitch, the pounding became a quake, and the dust cloud burst apart. From the gap, the first dark shape emerged fast, low and powerful. Then another, then dozens more. The aliens finally saw what was coming for them, and for the first time, some of them wished they had never mocked a human soldier. The dust split open like a curtain torn by an invisible hand. Out of it came shapes, dark, massive, and moving faster than the alien soldiers could track. At first, the invaders thought they were some kind of Earth-made attack machines, but then they saw the way these things moved. The way their bodies shifted like liquid muscle, the way their eyes glowed like embers in the mist. They were not machines. They were alive. The first war dog leaped over a rock, its paws hitting the ground with a force that made the dirt spray upward. It was larger than any wolf the aliens had seen, its back level with the chest of a human soldier. Its muscles rolled under thick fur, and its jaws were lined with teeth like carved steel. Its eyes locked onto the alien front line, and it ran faster. Behind it came more, 10, 20, 50 each one, as fast and lethal looking as the first. They didn't run. In random chaos, they moved in perfect formation, like trained soldiers. The pack spread wide, covering the whole front of the human force, cutting off any chance of escape for the aliens. The alien soldiers hesitated. Their weapons were ready, but their hands felt heavy. They had never seen anything like this before. One alien stammered, "Commander, they look like predators." The commander's voice was tight. "They are." The war dogs closed the distance in seconds. The ground shook under their charge, their claws cutting into the dirt with every step. Dust and gravel sprayed behind them like tails of comets. The alien commander raised his hand. Fire, blast of fire, ripped through the air. Bright green bolts shot toward the incoming beasts. The war dogs didn't slow. They weaved, darted left and right, their movements too fast and unpredictable for most shots to land. The few hits that connected only seemed to enrage them more. The first war dog reached the alien front. It didn't attack with hesitation, it exploded into motion. It launched itself upward, jaws closing on an alien soldier's throat before the invader could even cry out. The sound of metal armor tearing mixed with the wet, sickening snap of bone. That alien's body crumpled before his weapon hit the dirt. The second war dog hit a heavy walker, leaping high enough to slam into the cockpit. Its claws punched through the armored glass, dragging the screaming pilot out as if the machine were made of paper. The alien formation broke almost instantly. These weren't enemies they could simply shoot down from a distance. These were close-range killers, built for speed and power. The human soldiers still hadn't moved forward. They stayed where they were, letting the war dogs tear through the alien front lines. They only fired when a stray alien tried to flee toward the flanks. The alien commander roared orders, but chaos was spreading faster than he could control it. War dogs ripped weapons from hands, dragged soldiers to the ground, and crushed them beneath their weight. Some aliens fired wildly, hitting their own troops in the panic. The young alien soldier from before was frozen, staring at one of the beasts, as it killed 2 soldiers in less than 3 seconds. Its fur was dark and matted from old battles. Scars ran across its face, and one ear was half missing. Its eyes locked on him, and for a moment he couldn't breathe. Then, without warning, the war dog turned and sprinted toward another target. The alien fell back, shaking, realizing it hadn't spared Hemet, had simply marked him for later. Meanwhile, the commander tried to rally his forces, regroup, surround them, but the war dogs didn't allow it. They struck from all angles, never staying in one place long enough to be trapped. Their formation constantly shifted, each dog anticipating the other's moves, each kill setting up the next. One war dog slammed into the side of an alien transport, toppling it onto its side. Another leapt into the cargo bay, dragging out soldiers before they could arm themselves. The alien commander's lieutenant stumbled up to him, voice shaking. "We must fall back." "No," the commander barked. "These are just animals." But even he didn't believe the words, as he watched a war dog take down 3 of his best armored troops in a blur of teeth and fury in the middle of the chaos. The human leader finally lifted his weapon. He didn't shout, he didn't give a grand speech. He simply aimed and fired once, twice dropping 2 alien soldiers who had been trying to target a war dog from behind. The humans began to move forward, slowly, deliberately, like hunters closing in on already wounded prey. The war dogs circled them, their growls low and constant. The aliens were now trapped caught between human precision and animal fury. The sound of the battle was deafening. Blaster fire, the snapping of jaws, the screams of the dying, and above it all, the chilling howls of the war dogs echoing across the field. It wasn't a fight anymore. It was a hunt. For the first time since their invasion began. The aliens felt the one thing they thought impossible: fear of humans. Not because of their weapons, not because of their numbers, but because of what they fought beside. The alien commander's mouth went dry as he watched. Another of his troops dragged screaming into the dust. He turned his eyes back to the human leader who was walking forward at a steady pace. The leader's face was calm, too calm. And then the commander understood. This wasn't a desperate defense. This was a trap. The pounding of paws, the tearing of metal, the smell of blood, it was everywhere now. The aliens had mocked the humans for being weak. They were about to learn what it meant to fight something that hunted as a pack. The battlefield had become a storm. The war dogs were no longer shapes in the dust. They were death given form. Their howls mixed with the sharp cracks of human gunfire, the screams of the dying, and the hiss of alien weapons that hit nothing but air. The aliens had lost their tight formation. Some were running in small groups, trying to find cover, while others stood frozen, firing wildly. The ground was littered with broken weapons, shattered armor, and the bodies of the fallen. The human leader advanced through the chaos, his boots kicking up dust with every step. He didn't need to shout orders. The war dogs and his soldiers already knew the plan. Every move was practiced. Every strike was deliberate. A war dog lunged past him, jaws locking around the leg of an alien soldier. The alien screamed, firing downward, but the beast twisted, ripping him off his feet. In the same second, another war dog was already there, jaws snapping shut on the alien's throat. The commander of the aliens roared in frustration, "Hold your ground, they are only animals," but his words were drowned by the sound of a heavy transport tipping over. A war dog had slammed into its side with such force that it rolled onto its roof. Flames erupted from the engine, and the trapped soldiers inside screamed until the fire took their voices. The humans began firing in short, controlled bursts. They didn't waste bullets. Every shot hit something vital, while the war dogs tore the aliens apart at close range. The humans picked off anyone who tried to escape. One alien officer tried to rally his unit, raising his plasma rifle high. A single bullet from the human leader took him through the skull. He collapsed before the rest could even see where the shot had come from. The war dogs moved like shadows, never stopping, never slowing. They would strike, vanish into the smoke, and reappear somewhere else, dragging another victim down. It was like fighting ghosts with teeth. An alien soldier backed away, firing desperately at one that circled him. His shots went wide. The beast leaped, hitting him so hard he flew backward into the wreckage of a walker. The metal bent under the impact, and the alien never moved again. The commander tried to call for air support, shouting into his communicator. No answer. The human soldiers had jammed their signals before the battle even began. The young alien from before, terrified and shaking, turned to flee toward the hills. He didn't make it 10 steps before a war dog appeared from the side, cutting off his path. The creature didn't even pounce. It just stared at him with glowing eyes, a low growl rumbling from its chest. The alien froze. The growl deepened. And then, like a whip cracking, the war dog lunged. The commander fired his weapon at the oncoming beasts, hitting one in the shoulder. It yelped, but didn't stop. If anything, it only moved faster. Another war dog flanked him, forcing him to retreat toward a group of his remaining soldiers. The humans were moving in now. Their boots crunched over alien bodies as they advanced. Their faces were expressionless, their weapons steady. It was not rage driving them, it was precision. This was a hunt, and the prey had already been cornered. A war dog vaulted over a burning alien vehicle and landed inside a defensive circle of soldiers. In seconds, that circle was broken. The soldiers scattered, and the humans picked them off as they ran. The air was thick with smoke and the smell of scorched metal. Fires burned across the field, casting long shadows where war dogs slipped in and out like ghosts. Every time an alien thought they had a moment to breathe, a dark shape would emerge from the smoke and drag them down. The human leader paused, kneeling beside one of his fallen soldiers. He checked for life, then stood without a word and kept moving. Around him, the war dogs circled back toward the center, their muzzles stained with blood, their sides heaving but their eyes still sharp. The commander of the aliens realized the truth then. This wasn't a random counterattack. This was a carefully planned kill zone. The humans had drawn them here, kept them focused, made them mock and underestimate their enemy, all to hold them still long enough for the war dogs to arrive. The war dogs didn't just fight alongside the humans, they were part of them. The way they moved together, covered each other, and cut off escape routes. It was as if the humans had taken the instincts of a predator and turned them into strategy. The last alien-heavy vehicle tried to retreat toward the far side of the battlefield. A war dog sprinted after it, leaping onto the roof in a single bound. Its claws dug into the armor, and in seconds it had torn open the hatch. The alien inside never had a chance to scream. The humans tightened their formation. The war dogs moved, with them driving the remaining aliens into a shrinking circle. The panic was so great that some of the invaders turned their weapons on each other, thinking shadows in the smoke were enemies. The young alien, crawling through the dirt, looked up just in time to see the human leader standing over him. The man's voice was calm. "Run, and they will chase you. Stay still, and they will still find you." The alien swallowed hard. "What are they?" The human didn't answer. He just looked toward the war dogs, who were closing in for the final kill. The alien commander, still alive but bleeding from a gash on his leg, realized his army was finished. Not because they lacked firepower, not because they lacked numbers, but because they had never fought an enemy like this. The war dogs attacked again, and the circle broke. What was left of the alien army scattered into the smoke. But there would be no escape. The humans and their pack were not done yet. The battle did not end with a single moment. It ended in pieces. A scream cut short here, a weapon clattering to the ground there. The last defiant blaster shots fading into the smoke until there was nothing left but the sound of breathing. Heavy, tired, and dangerous. The war dogs slowed, their paws silent on the dirt as they moved among the wreckage. They did not howl in victory. They did not celebrate. They simply checked the ground, sniffing the air, searching for any enemy foolish enough to still be alive. The alien bodies lay scattered across the plain. Some were torn apart. Others were simply still, their faces frozen in expressions of fear they had never known before coming to this planet. The once proud invaders looked small, now fragile in death, their weapons useless in their slack hands. The human soldiers walked among them with the same calm precision they had shown in battle. They collected weapons, checked the wounded, and marked the bodies for removal. There was no shouting, no joy, just quiet, focused work. The alien commander lay on his back, staring up at the grey sky. His armor was cracked, and blood seeped from the gash on his leg. He could feel the cold breath of a war dog on his neck. The beast stood over him, eyes locked, teeth bared, waiting for a single signal from its handler. The human leader stepped into view. His boots stopped just beside the commander's head. For a long moment, he said nothing. Finally, in a voice as calm as if they were discussing the weather, he spoke. "You mocked us, called us weak, called us prey." The commander tried to sneer, but it came out as a grimace of pain. "You are still only human," he rasped. The leader knelt down, meeting the alien's eyes. "Yes," he said quietly, "but we've never fought alone." At that, he made a small hand signal. The war dog stepped back, not to spare the commander, but to let two soldiers drag him away. He was not going to die here. Not quickly, at least. The humans wanted answers, and the survivors would carry their terror back to whatever world they called home. Around them, the battlefield was changing. The smoke was thinning. The fires burned lower. The wind carried the scent of victory with metal and blood. The war dogs gathered together now, their bodies still tense, their heads low. They didn't relax. Not yet. The human soldiers knew better than to assume the fight was over. Scouts moved out, searching the edges of the plain. Drones buzzed overhead, checking for hidden enemy units. The war dogs followed their handlers, sniffing the air for scents the machines couldn't detect. The young alien soldier who had tried to flee was found hiding beneath a wrecked transport. A war dog found him first. It didn't attack, it just sat there, staring at him, a low growl rumbling in its throat until the humans arrived to take him away. When the last of the enemy was accounted for, the leader gave a short nod. The war dogs sat in formation, their eyes still scanning the horizon. To anyone watching, they didn't look like animals, they looked like soldiers. The surviving aliens, bound and guarded, were forced to walk past the war dogs on their way to the human transport. Every one of them kept their eyes down. One alien glanced up by mistake, locking eyes with the largest of the beasts. He quickly looked away, his steps stumbling. That single glance was enough to remind him of the chaos, the screams, the way the pack had moved through his army like fire through dry grass. The alien commander was the last to be taken. As he passed the human leader, he paused, wincing in pain. "This will not end the war," he said, his voice low. The human leader met his gaze steadily. "Maybe not, but now you know what waits for you every time you land on our soil." The commander looked at the war dogs one last time. Their eyes followed him, unblinking. He turned away. When the prisoners were loaded, the human soldiers began tending to their own wounded. The war dogs stayed close, their heads occasionally turning toward the hills, ears twitching at sounds no human could hear. They were never truly at rest. As the human leader walked back toward his command vehicle, he paused. The largest war dog stepped forward, brushing against his leg. He placed a hand on its head, feeling the steady, strong heartbeat beneath the fur. "Good work," he murmured. The dog's ears flicked, but it made no sound. The sun broke through the clouds for the first time that day, casting long shadows. Across the field, the battlefield was still and silent now, the kind of silence that comes after something violent too heavy to be peace, too sharp to be safety. Far in the distance, the alien fleet in orbit shifted position. Whether they were preparing to attack again or retreat entirely, no one yet knew. But one thing was certain: they would never again laugh at the sight of human troops. They would remember the howls in the smoke. They would remember the glowing eyes in the dust. And they would remember that on Earth, the humans did not fight alone. The war dogs stood together at the edge of the field, their silhouettes black against the pale horizon. The wind caught their fur, and for a moment they looked like statues carved from shadow. Then, as if on some unheard command, they turned in unison and walked away into the smoke. The hunt was over, for now.